everyone. It's Tutia Bruja. That's right, season 3. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me so far. And I hope that season 2 met up to your expectations. It didn't meet up all to mine. I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. 33 episodes was a lot. Didn't kill me, but there was some stress. But it's okay. I did it and I got a lot of really great feedback. The fact that there was so much different types of content, it really did feel like I was throwing spaghetti onto a wall, magic spaghetti, if you will. And, I just did what stuck. I think that that wasn't ideally the best way to create content, but I tried it. And I think this is all about, learning what makes us better, right? So before we really get into this, let me say happy Yule, happy Great Conjunction, and happy Winter Solstice. Today's a major magical fucking day. So I hope that all of you are taking the opportunity to journal, manifest, and meditate, really just do things that help create a good basis inside of you for the age of Aquarius. Okay, so today's episode, speaking of manifesting those things that you want, something that I've realized is that, because I was looking for a platform. I like to write, I don't do it as much as I used to, but I do like it. And there isn't really a platform, a witchy platform, a zine or a blog that focuses on perspectives of people of color. I think that it's really, really difficult at times, I guess. And as much as I can, I try and support all types of witches unless they're problematic or harmful. However, I think that it really does a disservice to not have something like that, that focuses on perspectives of people that aren't always in the public eye. I think that Rachel True is the best example of any time that there is specifically Black witch, but any type of really witch of color, they always are the background characters. They are supplemental to the rest of the fucking group. Like, okay, in the craft, Nancy was poor, right? So you have Nancy who is poor, Sarah's suicidal, Bonnie's been dealing with not looking the way that someone is supposed to look due to societal standards or whatever. And then what did Rochelle deal with? She dealt with racism, right? I mean, and that sucks because it really didn't allow Miss Rachel True to have a role with more meat in it, you know what I mean? And it's unfair. So I'm really excited to have Eileen Cheong on the show. So Eileen is many things, an art therapist, an artist, but also one of the creators of the Witchy Report, which is going to be a new zine that will focus on practitioners of color's perspectives. But it seems like they're really working on just creating a space for people who feel unheard, unseen, which is wonderful. So I'm going to stop talking. Let's get into the episode. Eileen's going to tell you all about herself. Eileen, thank you so much for being on Tutia Bruja.
Thank you for having me.
So someone once said to me that, like, when you come into your witchiness, all of the witches, the brujas, the healers, they all kind of find you. And I think that that's sort of how we kind of met. A friend of mine was like, you have to meet this person. They are so cool. And I think you're really going to vibe. And I was like, all right, I'm going to reach out. And now we're here. So thank you for being open to everything that is me.
You're absolutely welcome. I find this is the best way that I meet the people that I need to know in my life.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Eileen, do you mind telling everyone a little bit about yourself? Like, what are you working on? Tell us everything you want to share.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from New York City. I grew up in Brooklyn, South Side, and I come from a small family. My parents came abroad from Singapore, and they came from big families. My background is in community activism and organizing while I was trying to come up in the art world in New York after I finished undergrad. And then actually while I was figure modeling, I learned about art therapy and I looked into that field, decided it was for me, and I found myself in grad school near St. Louis, Missouri at Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. And I was there for 3 years getting my master's in art therapy counseling. And since then, I've also become certified as a yoga instructor, finished a community arts training program, and started my own private practice and small company, trying to offer my services to those involved in social justice and caregiving fields where there is a high degree of compassion fatigue.
Really wonderful that you offer that service because so many people, they experience that burnout and it's just, they don't know how to kind of get past it. You know what I mean? Because they think that they have to do so much for other people that they really neglect themselves, you know? And, in social justice spaces, there are so many people who do so much good that they really taking that time to really like heal yourself in whatever way that needs to be taken care of, whether it's just motion and just being able to do like yoga or doing something a little bit more spiritually inclined. When people realize that these spaces need to be occupied, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you mean. I noticed in a lot of nonprofits, a frequent burnout would happen where executive directors didn't usually last more than a couple of years, 5 years tops. And I was concerned about the sustainability of the movement when people or when organizations can't hold on to their leaders, and that ability for our progress. And so I decided that whenever I finished grad school, that eventually I would try to make my way to giving back to my community and supporting the movement in the ways that I know how as a healer. And over the years, really kind of carving out and defining that role and where my role is rather than per se like on the streets as an organizer.
That makes a lot of sense. With being able to heal others, when do you feel like that knowledge of I am a healer or I'm a witch, like when do you feel that kind of came to be?
Well, I think the seed was definitely planted whenever older women took me under her wing. And it was with the assertive compassion of their voice and their kind urging to find my voice, whether it was over a cup of tea or at women's circles where we were learning more about who we are in the face of toxic masculinity and harmful patriarchy. That's really where the seed was planted for my coming into my own as a witch.
Sort of that need to kind of, because we do live in such a toxic patriarchal society, and women have these roles that now people don't think about. Like women were the ones who at one point would produce beer, one because it was something that was needed, in the community, and it was a service and it was a way to be independent. And I really think that if we could all just go to a time where we are more matriarchally inclined, like our government, our society, just whatever, just more focused on, those nurturing, like, qualities that we should all have, I think that the world would be so much better. But
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember and acknowledge that history with the feminine divine, that there have been societies and ones that still exist today that exist under a peaceful matriarchy, and that women being protectors of the hearth is really a sacred role, and that the more that we can weave that story into the larger societal narrative, then we can kind of help balance, I feel, the masculine feminine energies in the world.
yeah, as you, become further and further into your practice, do you find yourself finding a lot of ways to like reuse different tools, or, to also not just be putting things into like the soil? Because I think that that is something that I personally, worry about with my craft. I try to be as eco-friendly as I can be.
Yeah, I think that I try to be careful about not recreating the wheel and really coming to understand what are the gifts that I have to offer that perhaps no one else can. And my relationship to the earth is really important. I try to lead a lifestyle where I repurpose a lot of materials also as an artist. And a lot of my artwork is actually printed on donated materials through a local printmaking studio called Central Print.
Wow, that's awesome. So you're really making strides to really reduce your carbon footprint.
Yes. And I compost. I love to garden. I love growing my own herbs. I love supporting local herbalists and other artisans in their cottage industries to kind of also lower our carbon footprint by shopping locally and sustainably.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that that's so important for so many individuals. And we're blessed to be of that generation that I think is more conscious of that. I think, like, I remember being that kid that was like, guys, to my parents, I was like, we have to care about the earth. So, it gives me hope for like future generations. Well, one thing I want to talk about, because being in witchy spaces and just kind of seeing like all of the cool different creators doing things, I've realized for a long time that there's just this big niche that's just really not being fulfilled. And I know that like I try to reach out to some of those individuals with the show, and I know that you're going to do that with your new project, the Witchy Report. So do you mind telling us a little bit about of that and how it came to be?
Sure. The Witchy Report is an online quarterly zine that I founded this year. And the first issue will be coming out the day after Solstice under the theme Redemption, End of Cycles, Endless Miracles. And the conception for the zine became kind of born out of almost like a play on words and a joke to myself, which in a lot of ways, when I look back on that, it was a spell, because that's essentially what spells are. And I was musing upon just like the daily forecast and how I often wonder like what is the spiritual forecast really, and what would it be like to have, rather than a weather report, the witchy report. And during such a time as now, where often we are searching for deeper meaning in a world where the headlines of the news are too close to the headlines of the publications like The Onion, and where we long for truth from journalists. And I just wanted to amplify the voices of fellow witches, known and unknown to me, that could offer some of those components through sharing of their expertise in subjects, whether it's divination, astrology, rituals, or herbalism, and everything witchy in between.
I, for one, am really excited. This is going to be an amazing project, and writing is such an amazing medium, and we use it every day in social media and this and that, but there's something just about a piece that really connects to you in some way. And for people who aren't big on writing, which is fine, the thing is with your zine, like, you'll be doing all sorts of stuff. So there'll be space for comics, there'll be space for, like, I'm sure if people want to do a recipe for an intention cocktail or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a space for everybody to show their creative witchiness.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it, is that it's this menagerie of kind of an empowering our witchy side, especially against a backdrop of so much historical systemic oppression of feminine identified voices. I hope for it to be a platform where we can counter so much toxic patriarchal co-opting of news media and information, and really being able to delve in and make this type of content available for as many people who want to listen in.
Really excited for this. I think a lot of people, will have a platform to be able to just reach out to so many different people. So thank you so much. How can everyone get in touch with you? And if they would like to submit a piece, what do you have going on for the next issue?
Actually, as we speak, today is the last day for submissions for issue 1, but I will be unveiling issue 2, if all goes well, on spring equinox in March. I haven't come up with a specific theme yet. If folks have ideas, I'm totally open. And you can contact us at scribe@thewitchyreport.com and follow us on Instagram at The Witchy Report.
Awesome. And I will have all of that information in the show notes just to reach you so much easier. Eileen, thank you again for being on Tu Tia Bruja. This has been such a blast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me onto the show, Bex.
Of course. Of course. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. All the information to support Eileen and the Witchy Report is down in the show notes. So please, if you're someone who likes to, write, who likes to make cocktail recipes with intention, whatever you like to do, and you would really like a platform to be able to do these and, just maybe reach out, to different witches that you might not be able to access, I really think that this is something that you should take part in. Thank you again for listening. I look forward to the next episode and us sharing this space again together. Thank you again. I really, really hope that you're having an amazing solstice, Yule, and great conjunction. It's a magical fucking day, people. Have a good one.